Blackburn George, my friend and colleague, welcome to this post Arsenal Watford match review for the Uncensored Arsenal. How are you this fine morning, my friend?
Champion.
We are both happy campers, I imagine. You more than me. You were more optimistic on Friday. I was cautious, not cautiously optimistic, but cautious. How are you feeling about that result? You said the Hornets should not be a problem on your blog, I recall.
Well, they weren't a problem.
They were not, George, and I agree with you. We won. Stats was overwhelmingly in our favor, but we did not dominate. We had 61% possession to their 39. We had, my memory serves me right, we had far more shots on target. They didn't even have a shot on target in the first half. One shot on target for the entire game. But we struggled to dominate. Am I calling this right?
I don't know, are you?
I'm trying to be balanced, George.
Are you calling it the way you want to say it? Well, we didn't dominate in as much as there was free-flowing football where we controlled the game and kept the ball and zipped it around. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going to be hypocritical because in the past, teams used to come to the Emirates, kick lumps out of us, foul, rotational foul, waste time, do every dirty trick going, and that's exactly what Watford did. And when it happened to Arsene and we struggled, I used to say, well, what do you expect? You know, that's the game that the opposition made it. Well, that was the game the opposition made it on Sunday, was it? On Sunday.
Yes, Sunday, yes.
Yeah, so Mikel Arteta's not got a magic wand. Neither did Arsene. If they come with those tactics and the referee allows them, which he did, it was a shocking refereeing performance. It was absolutely diabolical. It's as bad as you get it. You know, we're quick to blame referees sometimes as a go-to excuse. But I thought that was just beyond the joke. It was almost like the Old Trafford game for the 50th game. They had a license to do what they fucking wanted. They were fouling us, cheating, and it was just, what can Mikel Arteta and the players do about that? Every time they tried to get the flow going, they would break it up with a foul or with a foul, and the referees would let them get away with it. I mean, they were getting fouls all over the place, and every time we'd fouled them, it was a booking, and they could, I mean, fucking hell, Danny Rose nearly took Lacazette's head off.
Yes, well...
and they were saying, it didn't even get a yellow card. I mean, that's an assault. That should have been a red card, not a fucking yellow card.
Are you talking about the penalty? Or yes. Are you talking... Okay.
For the penalty.
Yes.
It was not only was it a penalty, it was an assault. He deliberately went in, arm leading, nearly took Lacazette's fucking head off. It wasn't even a yellow card. I mean, for me, it was a straight red. It was a joke. You can't, if you run up to someone in the street and did that, you'd go to fucking jail for 5 years. It was fucking horrendous.
I thought Donnell Rose was just clumsy, George. Maybe I'm.
Yeah. Well, have a look at it again. It fucking Lacazette's actually whipped right off his fucking feet by the neck.
But it was so uncalled for.
Shorter.
Go ahead.
You know I teach martial arts.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
That's a move that you would show someone if you were intending to seriously damage them and put them in hospital. If you were practicing that in the dojo, you would be very, very careful because that is a deadly fucking move. It was outrageous. fucking outrageous. But because people don't understand how easy it is to injure other players, they just say, I'm sorry, like you just said, oh, it was clumsy. No, it wasn't fucking clumsy. It was fucking dangerous. And
well, you know why I said it was clumsy, George? You know why I said it was clumsy? Because it was totally uncalled for. I mean, the ball was going away from Lacazette, and he just barged into him. But anyway, I agree with you. I agree with you at one point, George. I agree at one point. They were very physical. From the very first yellow card that Josh King got, where he swung his elbow into Gabriel, I think it was.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then he was saying that it was accidental.
No way was that accidental.
Yes. But basically their midfield was just a bunch of destroyers. The so-called the guys from Czechoslovakia or something, an East European guy, Kuka, whatever. The spelling on the back of his shirt does not match his spelling on his name online. They were just basically destroyers. And as a matter of fact, they couldn't even lay on a pass. They have 3 decent strikers, and they couldn't lay on a pass to them. If you look on the heat map, it was a V. Everything came from the sides. They were just destroyers. They were just fouling. I mean, we all know Sissoko from he was at Spurs. He's a fouler.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is that was the tactics. It was clear that was a tactic.
Yes.
And as soon as it was clear to us, which was after about 2 minutes, it should have been clear to the referee. And he could have stopped it immediately. But he not only did he not stop it, he encouraged it. And they were allowed to carry on doing it throughout the fucking game. It was a shambolic refereeing performance. And I don't know.
What's the name of the ref? What's the name of the ref? Huh?
Kevin Friend.
Kevin Friend, yes. I have done a piece on him before. I see that when I was at United for VAR, I said he was a perfect PGMOL ref. I remember doing a piece on him. I analyzed him. Anyway, that's a long time ago. Yeah.
Anyway, what my point is, I'm not blaming. I'm not pointing the finger at Arteta. You know, I fucking don't like the ball, which we'll go into a little bit later in this podcast. But there's nothing he can do about that. He didn't go up. He didn't say to the players, "Look, I want you to fucking let them foul you. I want you to allow the fucking game to be broken up." He would have wanted to go out and dominate and free flow and go at them hard and fast, like we have done in the last few games. That would have been his game plan. He played the same team. That would have been his tactics. And they weren't allowed to play that way because of foul means, because they were cheating. It's paramount to cheating for me. You know, if you're going out with the deliberate intention, a foul's a foul and it can be accidental. But if you're deliberately trying to foul people and injure them, that's fucking cheating. That's against the rules of the game. If it's against the rules of the game, you're cheating. If you're deliberately bending the rules, that's cheating. That's the fucking definition of cheating.
Well, it's kind of odd that Arteta didn't make a point of that. Although, you know, when you do, you turn the refs, you turn the PGMO. When you put the focus on the refs, the PGMO will make you pay in the long run.
Of course, because what they'll do is they'll just say, "Oh, they don't like it up them. Look at them crying." Same old Arsenal.
Yeah,
well, it is. For all I don't like Arteta, we're not the same old fucking Arsenal. We're not. Yeah. Well, they don't fuck with us now. We'll fuck back with them.
Yeah, well, I think that we had about 3 yellow cards on our side as well. So you know, George, what they did was they definitely wanted not for us to get going in the first 20-30 minutes. And I suppose that's there were, because that's how we win games.
But I tell you what it is. What I tweeted at the time, it was so funny. When we scored, all of a sudden they want a game of football. They don't want any fouls. They want to make a game of football. And they're crying then because we're breaking it up and slowing it down. And it's just fucking so brilliant. I just love it. Absolutely love it. Because you give them back what they were giving to us.
Well,
And
actually,
in the past, we wouldn't do that to the same extent we do now. We didn't shithouse. And we got fucking terrible abuse from players and referees, and they got away with it week after week because Arsenal wanted us to just play football. And that was probably a weakness because there comes a point where you can't just play football if the referee's allowing the opposition to kick lumps out of you. If the referee's protecting you, great. Carry on playing football. Let them fucking keep fouling you. And every time they foul you, you get a yellow card. And it gets easier and easier. And then they have to stop doing it. But if there's no cards coming, that gives them a license to do what they want. And if that's the case, you think, fuck it. It's our turn now. We're going to do the same.
The irony, though, George, is that Ranieri is complaining that the goal scored by ESR was when they kicked the ball out in their own half. In fact, it was in their own third when one of their players went down. I think it's the guy that eventually got sent off, the Turkish guy, whose name I can't remember. And then when we got the ball back, we didn't turn, we didn't do the thing that Wenger would have encouraged. We just kept playing. And it was from that the opportunity came from Smith Rowe to score. In fact, it was a somewhat of a broken play, George, because the ball bounced around the back. A bit came back to Smith Rowe, and he punished them. Do you agree with that assessment of that goal?
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it. It was a fucking shithouse goal. We didn't give him the ball back. We didn't give him the ball back. He didn't deserve it back because that guy was fucking feigning injury.
Yes, he was. He was.
To fucking stop. Danny Rose had the opportunity to he had plenty of time and space. He could have turned and played that ball. The guy was already getting up off his feet because he had
I remember that.
Fucking blown. Yes. So he kicked it straight out, and I thought, no, fuck it, you're not getting the fucking ball back. And then the type of goal, it wasn't even a good goal, it was a shitty goal. It was a bit like the Smith Rowe's goal last week, where it just happened to fall in front of him, and he smacked it in, which was a good strike, but it was it wasn't a constructed goal. It was fucking shithouse goal. It was a shithouse play, and I fucking love it. Absolutely love it. They got exactly what they deserved. And then they fucking moan about us not being sportsmanlike when they spent all fucking match cheating and fouling, and then they have the temerity to turn around and say, oh, it's not very sportsmanlike. Well, fuck you. You be sportsmanlike, and we'll give it a thought that we might do the same. But this is a different team. And I'll tell you what, Mikel Arteta won't be going into the fucking dressing room saying, hey, lads, you should have give them the ball back. It's a bit naughty, that. He'll be going in the dressing room saying, well fucking played. Fuck
yeah, he did say that on the .com, George. I'm looking over there.
Did he?
Yes, yeah. He was like... he was congratulating the guys.
Good. I'll tell you something about Arteta. Mm-hmm. When he was a player, he was a fucking shithouse. Mm-hmm. He was the only player in our team that used to do rotational fouling on the opposition. He'd foul, he'd niggle, he'd start arguments, he'd get people fucking niggled, he'd try and provoke them. And because he looked so good and angelic, he used to fucking get away with it. But he was a bad bastard. I remember once he did a foul on someone, and it was a professional foul. He fucking just stopped him playing, and the guy kicked off. And Arteta squared up to him, and all the opposition team gathered round, like they do, protecting the mate.
Yes. And
not one of our players, not one, came to help Arteta. And he didn't give a fuck that he was on his own.
Yes.
He didn't give a fuck. He carried on. And he'd have had a fight with a lot of them.
Well,
he's bringing that to his management. And there's nothing wrong with that. He's a shithouse. And he's encouraging. I mean, Manchester City is shithouses. Look at fucking the much lauded... Giovini, no, what's his name?
Which one?
The central midfielder.
You're talking about Gundogan or the other?
No,
the
one that's
one from
always been there. The one that's always been there.
Oh, you're talking Fernandinho.
Yeah, Fernandinho.
Oh, he's a shithouser of the highest order.
Proper shithouser. He fucking and with that smile on his face, he gets away with it. He'll do about 10 fucking tactical fouls before the referee even fucking thinks about getting his fucking getting his card out because he looked at you so innocently. And Arteta was like that.
Yes.
Right.
And then Pep pulls him off. And then Pep pulls him off after he gets a yellow card in the 80th minute.
And puts somebody else on to do exactly the same thing. Well, Arteta will bring that. And whether we like it doesn't make for good football. It doesn't make for good watching. But we've got a feedback here.
I'm good. You keep going, George. It's good.
So Arteta's bringing that. It's a different mentality, and it's also he's not as bothered about the aesthetics of the game, I don't think, whether it looks good or not, as long as it works. And again, that win at all costs, you can say, well, that at the end of the day, that's the game, isn't it? Winning,
And he's we're fifth. We're fifth. While Manchester United falls like a stone. Although George, I'm pretty sure that the owners won't allow that to happen. They're not going to fall out of Europe. Those dividends that the Glaziers get are secured by that Champions League money, George. So if I was Ole, you can't continue to lose games. But you're right. We are winning games, and Josh, why is Josh Kroenke looking like Jack Dorsey? No, with this. Go ahead with Cookie for one moment, George. Go ahead with her. I was saying, guys, I don't know. Is the Jack Dorsey look now the thing that these 40-odd-year-old middle-aged multimillionaires, is that the look that they now sport? There was a shot of him in the stadium yesterday. Yes, George, I was good old Cookie without the muffs, the ear muffs. Okay, Guy Fawkes Day is gone. But George, Josh, we had a shot of Josh Kroenke for a moment yesterday, and he was looking very pleased. You may want to have Cookie take another. You may want to let her out. I was saying, guys, that Josh was in the stadium. I suppose it's one of his periodic visits. He's a guy that takes care of his daddy's property, the Kroenke Sporting Enterprises. He's responsible for Arsenal. He looked a very relieved man, George, as the game wound down, because it was pretty obvious that we were going to hang on to our 1-0 victory. So there's a lot of commitment to winning the game. That was the point. You're winning games.
Yeah. There's a lot of commitment to PR at the moment as well.
Oh, yeah. We'll come back to that in a moment.
They're fucking milking it, aren't they? But yeah, the reality is, while results are going our way, whether we're playing well or not, it gives them a license to say it's going in the right direction. And it is. It is. It's as simple as that. And the more it goes in that direction, the more wins we get, by fair means, foul, lucky, or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. As long as the wins keep racking up, the players are getting more experience, they'll get more confidence, they'll more and more belief that, because they're not the brightest sports footballers are. I mean, I can't imagine that they're going thinking, fucking hell, we played shit today. All they think about is they won. They won.
Yeah.
They're a bit like fans, aren't they? They don't care that you get outplayed, as long as you win. But we didn't get outplayed yesterday. That was different. We've won games in this streak, and we've drawn games that we deserve to lose. That yesterday was not one of them. If they'd have come out to play football, we would have fucking battered them. The only reason it was a shithouse game and not very good to watch is because they chose to make it that way, and the referee chose to allow them. So no, I have no complaints at all about yesterday, the way we played. None at all. Well, I've got some complaints about how some of the players played.
Well, yes, let's go into that, George. I wanted you to talk about, before you start complaining, before you do that, I thought that we need to give Ainsley Maitland-Niles some props. Well, everybody's jumping on the bandwagon, but we spoke about this as him being a decent alternative to Partey in the past. Didn't spend a lot of time on this, but yesterday he justified those who said that this is somebody we could rely on going forward. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I remember. I can't avoid this. I'm going to have to get to it. There's a piece from Arteta in his post-match interview where they ask him about Ainsley Maitland now, and he wants the credit for it. You know,
yes.
He's done well. Why? Because he's now doing what I said. He's now listening to me. He's doing fucking.
Yes, I kind of saw that. I was going to bring it up, but
he's
go
doing
ahead.
everything right now, and he was doing. Oh, what a load of shite! 3 years ago, he was getting man of the match, playing in centre midfield away at United. Don't fucking tell me that you've made him a good player, Mikel. You know, he's a fucking good player. And then say, oh, we have to work on his body language. Oh, fuck off. Work on your fucking body language. He's fucking pathetic. I've never heard anything as ridiculous in all my life.
But people buy it, George. But people buy it. But people buy it.
I know, and it turns me. You say the lad's done well. He's not had as many chances as he wanted, but he's doing well in training and he played well today. Don't try and fucking make it that you've fucking done this transformation of him. You've not done fuck all for him. He's hardly fucking played. You've had him for fucking 2 years and hardly played him. So that really fucking annoys me. It's always
George.
Every time a player does right, it's because he's listening to Mikel, and every time they're fucking having a bad spell, Mikel will help them. I'll help him. Don't worry, I'll get him back. As if he's the fucking Wizard of Oz behind fucking curtain controlling everybody. It gets on my tits. But anyway.
But let's. I think I should support you on this a bit because he wasn't playing him last year. Sent him on loan to West Brom Albion, and he did very well there, got a number of man of the matches. And it was the public pressure during the summer, partially, that you can't sell off all your best young assets, and he retained him. But he didn't play him a lot, George. I mean, he played him in an EFL game against Leeds as a central midfielder, and he occasionally came on, and it's only because Partey is injured once again, groin injury, that he's gotten to start. Did he start in a PL game this period? Maybe the first game against Brighton, I think.
I think that's the second game he's played.
Yeah, I think I went Brighton when we were down to bones, right? Might have been. I'm not. Don't quote me on these people.
Brighton. Wasn't Brighton, was it?
I mean, the team that came up. Brentford, Brighton. Was the fucking... Okay, I know there's a difference.
He's a good player.
Yeah.
For me, he's better than Partey, and he's better than Lokonga at the moment.
Right.
He's better than El Neni,
who made a brief appearance yesterday.
You know, so he's a good player. He's a central.
George, a good player. He had more take-ons. He had more ball recoveries. And his passes were telling in most of the times. Telling.
Yeah, they were. He played well. Very well. Well, he was man of the match.
He is.
So then, and he was my man of the match. I don't think it was like a token gesture from anybody. I think he was the best player on the pitch. So,
and people are surprised. This gets on my
well, I'm not surprised. And people on my blog aren't surprised because they've been Finsbury's been going on for about 4 years that he should be playing regularly. He's a good player, but you know, he said, "Oh, this laid back attitude." Well, what the fuck's wrong with that? Mesut Ozil had a laid back attitude. He's the best central midfielder.
No, and we hate him for that.
In the world.
George, you gave Finsbury credit, good friend of mine. I want to give Shard some credit in his preview. He said that Emil Smith-Rowe deserved a third goal to join the likes of Anelka and who else? I think Fabregas. I'm not sure. I think it's Anelka though. 3 goals in succession.
Anelka, Fabregas, and Reyes.
And Reyes, right? And he fulfilled that. That young player is coming on though, George. I mean,
he had a shocker, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
I mean, we say goals change games. They change perceptions as well. He had a fucking shocker.
You think?
Yeah, I thought he were awful. But the ball fell at his feet and he lashed it in, and all of a sudden, everything's forgotten. His final third passing, dreadful. But anyway, he scored. So, but let's not go over the top with him because he's
young fellow.
I like him in 4-4-2, but
on the left.
I think he has his limitations, as if we're calling him a 10.
No, he's not a real 10, George. Not a 10. And then you pointed this out. He's more. You said he's more like a race in the
he's
team.
More like a Perez.
A Perez. Okay.
No, he's not in that class, obviously, or in Reyes' class. But he's a good player. And his skill set suited to a 4-4-2.
Yeah,
but I thought he had a poor game yesterday. I thought Saka had quite a poor game, and Aubameyang was fucking awful. But,
yes, that is I want you to come to that point now. You touch on Smith Rowe. You said Aubameyang was awful. Go ahead and explain that.
Well, he was just shocking, and again, I'm struggling to blame Aubameyang for this because we've turned him into Scott fucking Parker. You know, he's running around. He's running around and closing the ball down, and he's just not. That's just not his game. You know, keep your energy. Wait for the fucking ball that you can run onto. He's terrible in build-up. Awful. His first touch. He makes Lukaku look like Dennis Bergkamp with his first touch. He does. It's shocking. And I mean, he should have scored yesterday.
You mean the one that was chalked off?
Yeah, I mean, it was chalked off because it was such a shocking first touch. That instead of being in front of him, it was in front of Saka, who was 5 yards away. Mm-hmm. Saka put it in, but they should have scored that. He missed a penalty, and then he played a ball that was going in. It was an absolute certain goal, and he must have known it was yards offside.
He was. Yeah.
He was standing about 3 yards offside. Stay away from the fucking ball. It's going to be ruled offside if you touch it. You must know that. Why fucking try and steal fucking Odegaard? And Odegaard did really well to make that chance. It was a top-class bit of skill.
Yes.
And you can see we're nearly fucking crying.
Yeah, he was.
Aubameyang wanted his fucking touch it in, an inch from the fucking goal line to pinch a goal from him. It was a shocking. So he had terrible. This is one of the worst performances from a supposedly world-class player that I've seen in a long time. We would have won 3 or 4. If he hadn't had such a shocking game, we would have won 3 or 4-0 comfortably.
George, you're onto something. I'm looking at WhoScored.com, and of the starters, he has the worst rating, 5.94. So you're not off the mark. George, I am going to say something here that may get me to trouble, but I call this Uncensored Arsenal for a reason. I don't think we I'm not convinced that that we are playing the kind of football that can sustain us. And but I want to admit, like everybody else, I want to recognize that we are improving. But when I look back, at our heat map, for instance, George, most of our action was in our lower third. Our defenders were the ones who had most of the possession, and it ties into something you said about our two midfielders were not the greatest and had the greatest performance yesterday, and that that Aubameyang was feeding on scraps. I think I agree with you, George, and with anybody that says that this young group has a higher ceiling, and Arteta is taking credit for their growth, but a lot of this is organic because they are young, and also he has bought £250 million in talent. So this is not an Emery team. I don't expect the wheels to fall off like Emery's team. But I'm not convinced, George. I just maybe I'm just an old moaner, and I'm a lot of people going to say that I'm negative. What do you think of my opinion?
I think you're an old moaning negative twat.
Why don't you call me the C word, George? We are friends. I'll take it.
No, and I know what you mean. I said it every week. This level of play, and again, I stress the point, I'm exempting this game because I don't think there's anything Arteta could have done about improving how we played yesterday, because they and the referee wouldn't allow it. This level of play that we've had over this 10-game unbeaten period will not sustain us throughout the season to get top-end results.
Top six.
Top six. It won't get us top six. You can't play this way and get top six. But we're fifth at the moment.
Right.
So we've got however we've done it, we've got it. And we can play better, and we can improve, and I think they will improve, and I think they are improving. And maybe we should accept the fact that it is a very young team. People are right. We're the youngest team in the league.
Correct.
You've got to factor that in. And when you factor in the youngest team in the league and the oldest player in the team is playing crap, and probably he shouldn't be in it either. If you put Eddie in instead of Aubameyang, that would take another year off the average age.
Yes.
And it would be a proper young team. And with a young team, they're not the finished article as a team or as individual players. And there's potential for growth. And if that's the idea, if that's the plan, 2 years, 3 years, to build this young team then fair enough. We can't expect immediate results. But people say, we should be buying the finished article. We can't. We can't get them. And if we're buying the finished articles aren't good enough for Liverpool, United, Chelsea, City. So where are they going to take you? So you can pay top money for second-tier players that aren't going to get you to the top tier. Whereas with a chance at the moment, we will. If Arteta stays, he'll get better. He will. He'll learn. He'll improve. The players will get better. They'll learn. They'll improve. They'll gel together. They'll understand each other. A chemistry will be formed. And this run that we're on will help that. Right. And if we accept that, and I'm going to say we're going to finish 8th, 9th, or 10th this season. That's where I think we'll finish. Still, despite the fact that we've been on this good run, I think the level of play that we've shown over that run will take us back down to the mean. So 8th, 9th, 10th. But if you accept that that's okay, because next year it might be 6th, 7th, 8th. And then the year after, it might be 5th, fourth. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because we cannot go out and buy the top players. We just can't. You say, oh, we're going to have to replace Aubameyang. Well, who are we going to get?
Haaland.
Well, no, are we? That's
Yeah, of course not, George. He's
That's
a
the
$200
point.
million player.
Whereas Manchester City, Chelsea, United, they'll go, we need a centre forward. Who are we going to get? And the shopping, the phoning his agent up.
Yes.
Or the phoning Mbappe's agent up.
Right.
Who are we phoning? We're not phoning them because we can't get them. And if you accept you can't get them, and our ceiling isn't Champions League winners, isn't Premier League winners. Our ceiling is below that, simply because of the finance. So you have to accept it. So maybe Arteta can make the best of the resources available.
Could be.
And if he's spending less on young players and they're going to improve, as long as we keep them, as long as Newcastle don't come and buy fucking Smith Rowe and Saka and
well, they have to stay. They have to stay in the division first, George. They have to stay in the division first, which is their problem.
They'll still buy players if they stay in the division or not.
Yeah.
But I saw somebody the other day saying, "Oh, why don't we sell them El Neni, Kolasinac, Nikita? You know, players that they're all for 150 million." You think, well, they're not fucking stupid. They ain't buying them because they're not taking them to that level. Yeah. So, but they might come in and say, "Oh, we'll have Lacazette. He's on a free."
Yes. Well, you know, George, speaking of Lacazette, because I was going to mention that, and when you spoke about not, you know, we could do without Aubameyang. George, we cannot do without Lacazette and what he's bringing to this team right now. I mean, when he came off yesterday, our energy and our continuity fell off. I mean, I don't know if you noticed that. I mean, and then the fans began to mourn because we were just sitting back and absorbing a lot of pressure. And that, in my opinion, was directly related to the fact that Lacazette came off, and he's a guy who will go there and scrap for every possession, drop deep, and help the midfield. So, you know, you have a point there.
Yeah, but we've turned him into fucking Scotty Parker as well. We're going to be fucking putting 11 Scott Parkers out if we're not careful. But yeah, I mean, he's out of contract at the end of the season.
Yes,
and but he can't even do 90 minutes. When was the last time he did? Has he ever done 90 minutes?
He's 30-something, George. I expect 90 minutes.
Yeah, but he's younger than Aubameyang, isn't he? Aubameyang's running further and faster than him.
But George, he's putting out so much energy from the very kickoff. He's expected to drop deep and then to join the attack. It's physically not possible. I mean, even the team yesterday, it was physically, my observation was that we were drained by the 80th minute. Yeah, I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
I mean, both teams were, but we are a team that relies on our energy to get up the field. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because we can't fucking pass the ball we can't keep the ball and pass it like we used to.
Yeah.
That's where your energy is sapped. If you're having to run all the time, the last 20 minutes is going to be difficult, whoever you are. You know, I mean, that's the idea, isn't it?
Right.
Is that your pet, Shot? Have you got a pet?
No, George. I had two dogs. Then they passed, and George, it was too much energy.
No, I thought I heard a rooster in the backyard.
No, I have a lot of roosters and hens in my yard.
All right.
I'm in a suburban community, and they are all over the place. So I have to try to contain the sound.
Cookie would make short work of them.
Yes, George. Let us call it there. Call it that. There goes my rooster. Is that you think that we did well under the circumstances, Maybe we didn't dominate, but we couldn't dominate is your opinion. I'd like to hear what the audience has to say. Are you satisfied? Do you agree with George? Do you share my reservations? We love to see your comments. And George likes to talk about that. George, you want to say something little about putting your comments down at the end of the blog, the YouTube broadcast? Go ahead.
Yeah, put the comments. It's an important part that you can join in and give us your feedback, because without feedback, we've no idea what you want to see or what we should be saying. Not that we're going to say what you want anyway. But, say what we fucking like, don't we? That's why we're here. But
right.
At least tell us.
Yes.
And tell us whether you like foghorn, longhorn in the background.
Yes. Well, George, it's been good. With the international break, I will be trying to bring the group together, because the last international break we were all pessimistic, and now we're all the way up to 5th. I think we were at 14th or something at the time. We had come up, after the 3 losses. It was gloomy, but I'm gonna try to organize that over the weekend. I'd love to hear what people have to say. Thank you, George. Thank you, audience. Give us your feedback. Like and subscribe. We want to see our channel grow as much as possible. Thank you very much. Bye, George.
Bye.
Bye.